mics while the presentations take place. Please mute your mics. My name is Nadelia Charles. I'm an ESOL instructional specialist with the Department of Multicultural Ed. Myself and the rest of the team, we're happy to have you with us this evening. We're excited that you're able to join us. We have prepared a lot of great presentations, and we are anxious to give you all of the great resources that we have put together. I'm going to ask that everyone mute their mics, please. Thank you. So a couple of housekeeping issues. We're going to hold all questions until the very end of all of the presentations. So if you have some questions, we ask that you put them in the chat or that you write them down, and you can verbally ask those questions at the end of the meeting. At the end of the meeting, we will also have a few polling questions. We have a few questions that we would like for you to answer for us too. And the moderator, Carmen Rosas, will instruct you on how to get there. So tonight with me, I have Ms. Carmen Rosas, who is a district ESOL guidance counselor. We also have Ms. Ketia Haldebert, who is with behavioral mental health. We also have Maria LaCobb, who is with the migrant department. So thank you guys so much for being with us this evening. We hope that you'll find the information that we're providing to you this evening useful. And I want to start the evening by introducing from the Behavioral Mental Health Department, Ms. Ketia Holdebart. She will be doing a session on mental health.
Okay.
Can you see it?
No.
Okay, we'll try it again. You see it?
Try it again. You're good. It's up. Perfect.
All right. So again, as Nadelia mentioned, my name is Ms. Hildebert. Today we're going to do I'll do a short presentation from our department supporting student wellness through behavioral mental health services under the director, Dr. Mary Claire Musenik. Next. So what is mental health? Mental health is our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps us to determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. Mental health is important at every stage of life, from childhood through adulthood. So basically, it's our ability to live fully, engage with others, and respond to challenges. So we'll just watch a short, oh, okay. All right, we're fine. So when we think about mental health as it relates to school, so that school connection piece for students is very, very important. That's how they help develop healthy relationships. There's social emotional learning that's happening through the connections with schools. It also helps to lead the academic process for students and also social success. Next. Next. So we'll just watch a short video.
Hello, Mrs. Jones.
Hey, CJ.
Coach.
Emma.
Mom.
Last year I experimented with painkillers and then I started taking them every day.
174 days ago, I started intentionally vomiting after meals.
My anterior cingulate cortex has a population of overactive neurons.
Cutting my arms has become a compulsive behavior.
I started having suicidal thoughts.
Can you help me find the proper support and medical resources?
Can you help me research the best treatment facilities?
I'd love to chat with you about ideas on how to help manage this.
All right, so sometimes children or adolescents, they need more. So the video clip that we just watched had them share exactly what they needed, but in reality, that's not what happens. We have to dig a little deeper, ask some questions, just to see exactly what students may or may not need. So there are some mental health challenges that can be considered normal reactions to difficult situations. However, sometimes that someone may have a diagnosis with a mental illness, and so these can be considered illnesses of the mind as well. Next. So what do we know? So we know that access to mental health supports can be difficult for families. So sometimes it may be an issue with insurance, cost, or even being able to find the time to have your child participate in counseling services. That might be a challenge or a barrier for a family. And because let me point out that the average delay between when a student starts to show symptoms of a mental health challenge or concern, it might be up to 8 to 10 years before they even receive any services at all. All right. So schools now provide, we'll go back. Schools provide significant improved access to students and families currently. So when children and adolescents receive mental health supports, they get better. Their attendance improves, their academic, their behavior, and just overall relationships with others. Next. So now what? So as a parent, a guardian, friend, or a family, there might be times where you notice signs in a child or a student or even yourself that might be struggling with a mental health challenge. So what does it look like? What do you do? Next. So during COVID-19, during this pandemic, it's been very, very stressful for many, many families district-wide. So some of the people that may have a stronger response to that pandemic that's happening currently are children and teenagers, right? Because they're not in school, they're not being able to socialize with their friends, they're doing a lot of virtual remote learning, activities may have been canceled, or that student may already have a mental health condition. And they might also be having some challenges with substance use as well. So schools also help to provide some of those protective factors through activities, sports, even clubs, or they may have a mentor or preferred person at the school site that may not be available to them during COVID-19. Next. Okay. So when you do have a concern, what might that look like? Okay, you might see a student that's sad, withdrawn, expressing feelings of worry. The behavior might be changing. Maybe they're sleeping a lot or not sleeping at all. They might be taking more risk, more dangerous behaviors, or there might be something going on at the home or just in the changing of the usual activities that we mentioned earlier. So how do we ask for help? Who do we go to? We can, of course, go to the school counselor, the school behavioral health professional, and these individuals are stationed at every single school throughout the district. However, typically what will happen is the teacher may be the one that you might reach out to if you notice something, which is fine, or the principal or any other staff on the campus. So now that we've asked for help, who's actually able to provide that support for the student on campus, right? So that can, again, be the school counselor, the school behavioral health professional, depending on the level of their credentials, because they may have varying experiences and levels of expertise. Of course, our school psychologists, a co-located mental health professional, which is stationed at 100 of our schools in the district, or a community agency partner. So some of these local agencies, we have a cooperative agreement with them. So we are very familiar with what services they offer. So sometimes if it's more than what the school counselor or the school-based person can offer, we may talk to the family about a community agency partner. So some of those are like Multilingual, Chrysalis Center, Boys Town, and there's many more. So when we look at this picture, we use the analogy of the sandbox. So in the center is the school itself, and around that sandbox, which is the building, are the individuals that are actually stationed at the school site that are able to provide some of those mental health supports for students who may experience a challenge or there might be a concern. So of course we have our school counselors, the ESOL school counselor, school psychologist, as we mentioned before, the behavioral health professional, the co-located mental health professional, and the SBT or CST leader. And then outside are additional district staff that may not be stationed at that school every day. However, if the school needs an extra layer of support or assistance, they're able to push in and provide that assistance or service to the students. Okay, so when we say mental health professionals, there's kind of three buckets that we look at. So we have our actual district staff that's employed. And so you'll see the list here on the left. Again, the same 4 core individuals I mentioned before. And then the center, we have the co-located, which is the mental health professional. And these individuals are from community agencies that provide individual counseling on the school campus to students. So when we talked about access and barriers, we as a district tried to remove that for parents by being able to offer that right on campus. All the intake paperwork, all of that can be done with that mental health professional at the school site. And they are there full time. So when the kids are there, they're there. And then we have the community collaboratives. And of course, those would be the agencies that are community-based. Some of those community agencies may be providing those services in home, in office, or even at our school sites. Next. Okay, so what are some of the messages that we're pushing? That it's okay to not be okay, right? So if there is, and that is a normal process, we just want to make sure that students ask for help or parents ask for help so that we can make sure that we provide those students with the proper mental health services, whether it's support from the school site through small group, with school counselor, or individual therapy with a co-located mental health professional, or even reaching out to a community agency if that's what's needed. Okay, so when young children and people get mental health supports, they do get better, because we talked about that 8 to 10 year gap before people actually receive the service. As a district, we have worked hard to put all these supports in place so that we can assist students very early on in the process when there is a concern, so that we are able to support them to be able to work through that. Next. Okay. And so here is the administrative staff under Dr. Mary Claire Musenik for our department. So we have our managers, Dr. Shannon, Dr. Kane, Nancy Reese, Dr. Catherine Barrett, and then under them are the specialists who assist to oversee the programs. So Dr. Shannon and Dr. Kane manage the CAPE team, which is an internal crisis response team for the school district internally. And they also manage the co-located programs, which I mentioned, those mental health professionals that are stationed at the schools, that we have a partnership with those agencies. They oversee that program as well. And then Nancy Reese with her team helps to oversee those school behavioral health professionals that are stationed at every single school. And then Dr. Catherine Barrett is the manager for the school psychologist. And next.
Ms. Hildebert, I don't have any more slides. This is the last slide.
Yeah, this is the last slide. Thank you. I'll jump back in a little later and address some questions if there are some.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hildebert, for giving us all of that great information. It's important for parents to know where to turn to when a student is in crisis. We don't want you guys to ever think that you have to go at it alone when your child is experiencing some type of trauma at home. We're here. We have all of the necessary people in place to assist. And if we don't have them, we will work with you to try to find the staff or the people that you need to assist with whatever's going on with students. Next, we're going to have Mr. Javier Ortolosa, who will do a segment on the SIS parent portal. It's always great for parents to know what's going on with their students. And oftentimes you don't have time to go to the school or you don't have time to call the school, but that does not mean that you can't just log into your child's portal and see what's going on with academics, with attendance. If you want to reach out to the teacher via email, these are all great tools that you have in this SIS parent portal. So Mr. Ortolosa, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, parents, for being with us today and giving me the opportunity to present the parent online resources. And what we have at the school district is, next slide, we have a wonderful website at the school district, www.palmbeachschools.org. Never forget the S, Palm Beach Schools. And if you would like to choose a different language, you will click right on the top where it says Google, select language. Click. Or you can go for Spanish version. You can go to palmbeachschools.org/Spanish. Next, you can go to palmbeachschools.org/Creole. So how can we maneuver and go into different sites at the school district website? So you're going to go to students and parents. Just click the right button, Carmen, just click the right button and for everything. And then you're going to go ahead and click on students and parents where you find all the resources, click. So one of the first thing I want you to keep in mind, in order for your child to receive free or reduced lunch, it's important for you to apply every single year for elementary, middle, and high. Some of the benefits for high school students is if you qualify for free and reduced, the SAT and ACT will be a great waiver that you can use for
this is a 2-hour thing.
I would like to remind everyone to keep yourself muted. Thank you. So go ahead and click.
Is that away? You're done?
So in order for you to go to,
hold on just a minute, Mr. Ortolosa. We're going to ask
all later and you can do the top of the pool too.
Their mics, all parents.
Right, I'm going to serve everybody.
Mics.
I think I'm going to hang up. This is 2 hours long. This is my dinner time, bro.
All parents, please mute their mics. Please mute your mics.
I got it. Let me see if I can find it.
Okay, we're good.
Okay. Sorry for that interruption. So you're going to click on food and nutrition services. Click. So when you go there, one of the things you're going to find now is that breakfast and lunch meals are free to all students through December. I believe there was a change until the end of the school year. However, it's important for you to know that there is a process for free and reduced lunch, but breakfast is always free. And now through the pandemic experience that we're experiencing at this time, they're offering free lunch for every student. Click. So what's the price for lunch at the schools? Elementary is $2. Click. $2.05 for elementary students. And since middle and high school are a little bigger and taller, and so they're going to pay $2.30. Reduced lunch is 40 cents. So it's important that you go into a meal application, click.
Mr. Ortega, I have a question for you.
Please all questions till the end of all of the sessions, sir. If you would put it in the chat for me, we'll answer those questions at the end of the sessions.
So you're going to go ahead and you have the option to select the languages on the top. Click. Just keep clicking. Yep. And you have 3 languages that's available for the application. Then you begin the application process. Click again. And click again. Now let's talk a little bit about the SIS Gateway. Due to timing, the video is very long, but when you go to where I'm going to present you where you can find this video, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and watch the video because there's SIS Gateway for parents is a very good tool. Click. So how do I go and find the application or the login or registration for SIS Gateway? You're going to go to Students and Parents tab. Click. Again. Again. And when you go there, right where it says SIS Parent Gateway, you're going to click. Click. Yeah. And if you need more information on how to log in, you're going right where that circle. There are some resources that can give you some guidance on how to log in. If this is your first time, you're going to click right under Register. Click. And the video, it's right there where it says SIS Gateway. You can watch that video and it's going to give you more details. Again. So if this is your first time, you're going to register there. Click. So what do you need? Number 1, you need to put your first name as the parent, not the child's name. This is going to be you. And you might say, hey, my husband is always working in New York. You can put up to 4 individuals. Maybe grandma's in Puerto Rico. She can see the notes and the information of your child if you want to, but up to 4 individuals. So you're going to put your first name, your last name, click your own email. You're going to create your password right there. When you go to this page, you're going to add a child. Now, let's say you did the whole process and you have another child, you're going to continue adding more. Let's say you have 3, 4, you're going to add your child in this same process. Click. When you go there, you're going to need your child's student number. And you're going to put the student number. It can start with a 4. It may start with a 2. Do not put PB and do not put an S. And you're going to put your child's birthday and the PIN number. Now, keep in mind, you may not know the PIN number. No one's going to know. You're going to have to go to the school and speak with the administrator or an IT personnel. There's always someone at the school responsible to provide that information. And if your child's in middle school, usually they will get a copy, but they only get it once. They will not be getting this all the time. You would have to go to the school. Do not call the school so they can give you the PIN number. It's not going to happen. Go to the next slide. So let's say, for example, here is a child and his picture is going to show up. Oh, that's my child. So you can identify your child. Go to the next one. Let's say you want to add another child. You're going to just add another child. Remember your email, you're going to put it as your user name. The password, please write it down so you can put it in there as well. Next. 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 So remember that I said you can put up to 3, 4 children. If you notice, this is an example of your portal as a parent. This parent has 3 children and she can see or he can see all the information about that child. Next. So for example, this student, you will see as a parent, your name will be on the top and you will find your child's picture and the child's name and the name of the school. Next. When you go in there, most of the information, your child's information will be there, the grade, Attendance, it's going to be under absences. Fees and payments, I want you to be aware, if your child loses a book, that fee will follow him all the way to 12th grade until they graduate. So make sure you turn in all the books. But that's a good way that you can find out. Let me check. It's the end of the school year. Let me check if my child turned in all his book in. Class schedule, graduation requirements. If they're in high school, that's important for you to look at. And any referrals. Let's say your child, you got a phone call from the administrator because there was an incident. You can follow that referral right there. Next. Next. Let's say you want to send an email to the teacher. As soon you click above the teacher's name, go ahead and click. This is going to pop up and you're going to write a message to the teacher and your teacher will send a reply, hopefully soon, and you're going to see that response in your email. Next. So as we continue and we click along, the next thing we're going to talk about is attendance under absences. Click. Click. So when you go into attendance, you will see your child's attendance for every day. If you notice, this student has Y. Why? Because the parent chose the child to learn virtually, to learn from home. That's why the child's been attending and he has a green little tab right there that it's green and it says Y. And if you look on the top, it will give you an explanation what those little icons mean. Next. So let's go to the next item. Go ahead. Now here's some more information. Click again. Grades. I think that's very important that we are well informed about our children's grades. Never wait until the end of the school year. Start from the beginning. Here's you're going to find out if your child's assignment have been graded, your child test all graded. You're going to be able to find that here. How? Let's go to the next one. So when you look at the child's schedule, you're going to see the grades. Go ahead and click. Right there. If you click on one of those grades, let's say your child has a C or a D, you want to see why does he have a D? My child is telling me that he's turning all his assignments. When you click there, click, yeah, you're going to be able to see all the assignments that your child turned in. And if it was graded, for example, the child turned in and he got a 0 of 100, there's a possibility that he never turned it in or it got lost on the way. And that's a good way to start a conversation with the teacher. Hey, my child said that, just send them an email. My child said that he turned in this assignment. Can you verify if it was turned in? And the teacher may respond immediately and let you know that he did turn it in or he didn't or she didn't turn it in. Click. Now, let's say you want to see another class. Go ahead and click again. You click right there and you're going to just choose another class to see all the assignments. Next. Now, here you can see the planner and report. You see that list under planner? Those are all the homework assignments that that child needs to get done and that the teacher have assigned. Next, click. And as you can see, the next one is the report. Click again. And under report, as soon as a child gets a report card, that report card may get lost with time. You can go right there and see the reports and testing. Next one. Now, let's say, oh, I speak Spanish and I like to read in Spanish, but I speak English. You can change the language by clicking the selection here. Next. As you notice, I changed it to Spanish and it changed it to Spanish. Next. Now, I am Javier Ortolaza, and I lead the Welcome Center, and I work with a beautiful team that we help many families here in the community and many of our family who are new to our community. And one of the things that we do is that we support our new families with registration, grade level placement, and some schools may need some support with counseling, and I work together with Ms. Charles to be able to provide that support. like social services support and counseling. However, we also have the immunization van. Due to the pandemic, we had to stop for a time, but we're in the process to see if we can get that going. And the immunization van provides the immunization or the shots for your children if they need it. Just keep in mind, when a child enters 7th grade, it's important that you update the immunization record of the school, and also the physical needs to be done. And we have a bilingual staff that we work every day to support our families. Next slide. So follow us on Twitter, and we want to say thank you for all your support and all the great things that you do. So you can go to @Javier Orlaza, @EsauPBC if you want to see more information. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you so much, Mr. O. That was a great presentation. Parents, it's vital that you somehow get these passwords. And I know we went a little quick with that presentation for the SIS Parent Portal, but like Mr. Ortolosa said, they have a video of how to access your child's portal on the school district website. And that video is in many different languages to make sure that the parent understands exactly step by step how to get on. It's always going to be a great idea for you to know what's going on in your child's life and not wait until report cards come home to find out that there might have been some missteps. Mr. Ortolosa talked a little bit about attendance, but I want to talk a little bit more and focus on attendance during distant learning. We have quite a few students who are being educated from home. Due to COVID, now we have 2 different methods for students to attend school: virtually or brick mortar, presently physically going to the school. When Mr. Ortolosa was doing his presentation, he did a little bit about how you read the attendance screen once you're in SIS. I want to talk a little bit more about that, but before I do, I want it to be known that attendance really affects a child's academic progress. They have to be there in order to learn. And there does not mean physically there, but there means being in a classroom, physically or virtually, but they have to be present in order to learn. So attendance, teachers update attendance every day. So parents, if you want to go on in the evenings, once you get home from work, you can see if your child is home, if you have a high schooler who's home, working virtually, you can go on every evening to see which classes that child attended. So it's important for you to know that we update the students' attendance every day. Next. It's the teacher's responsibility to take attendance at the beginning of each period. So for my students who are distant learning, it's probably a good idea to log into your classrooms maybe a few minutes before each class, so that if you have any technical difficulties, you can work those things out before class starts. So it's always good for you to be there a few minutes before the teacher actually logs on, because the teachers will take attendance at the beginning of class. Once you log in, if you don't log in, the teacher will mark an A in SIS for a student that's absent, or that teacher may mark a T for a student that comes into the class session late. T stands for tardy. So again, Mr. Ortolosa put up a screen that was similar to this one. If you look at this screen, it gives you the coding for everything that's marked dealing with attendance. We see that an A is an unexcused absence. If this child has a reason and has expressed that reason once they've come back with a note or something to that extent, that might be an E for an excused absence. I think Mr. O misspoke a little bit when he said a Y for virtual. It's actually a V. So if your child is working from home, and they're present, they've logged into the classroom, the teacher will mark a V. That's how we know that child sat in for that class period. A T is tardy if the student is coming to class or logging into the class late. Next. Students have responsibilities. Again, logging in on time is the student's responsibility. Being present in the lesson is the student's responsibility. Having that camera on so that the teacher can see that you're engaging in the lesson is the student's responsibility. It's always important for you not just to turn the computer on and walk away. You have to be present within the lesson. So that's one of the major responsibilities that students have. Next. Students will attend the assigned classes every day. They have the schedule. Every school probably has a facet that they do this differently, but every student, the teachers in the school have explained to the students the process in which they are to log in for their classes. SIS is no different, records no different than it did in previous years. The only difference is now we're using the V for virtual students who are working virtually. Something that I want to bring up in terms of high school students. It is very important for parents to know if a high school student has 10 or more absences, if a high school student is absent from a class 10 or more times, they have to pass the semester exam in order to earn credit for the class. I know that we're virtual and sometimes we can probably get a little lackadaisical, but those absences still count, which means that when that student takes that exam in December, that student has to pass the exam in order to get credit for that class, for their semester exam and also their final exam. So being in class is very important. Next. The parents' responsibilities. Parents, it's totally up to you to know what's going on with your child that's working from home. Make sure that there's somewhere in the house that's set up as that student's workspace. It could be in a room where you've set up a desk. It could be in the dining room where, in a corner in the dining room where there's not a lot going on, a lot of noise going on. It's good to know the student's schedule also. Talk to your students about the importance of logging into classes. Help students maintain their daily routine when they're in classes. And also supervise your child while they're in their virtual classes. Don't just think that just because the student's sitting in front of the computer, they're logged in and they're working. We've gotten many calls from parents when they've received that telephone call saying that the student is not in class. And they say, well, my child sat in front of the computer all day. Yes, but parents, it's up to you to kind of supervise. Go stand behind them a little bit and see what's going on in the class, or stand to the side if you don't want to be on the camera, and kind of listen to that lesson that teacher is delivering to your child. Because oftentimes those kids are on the computer and they might be surfing the net or playing video games. We want to make sure that they're logged in and they're logged into their classes learning. Next. The greatest resource that you could ever have, in my opinion, is that SIS Gateway, because everything you need to know, from grades to attendance, to if you owe the school any funds, to contacting the parents, to going on and seeing test scores, everything that you need is housed in that SIS Parent Gateway. And Mr. Ortolosa has just given us just a snippet on how that works. Like I said, there are videotapes on the district website that can walk you through step by step in how to access that Parent Gateway. Next, something very important that Mr. O also mentioned. In order to get your student's PIN, you have to contact the school. You have to go to the school. They're not going to send a copy home with the student. They will in middle school. You'll probably get that one time, but in order to access your child's portal, you need that PIN, and the best way to do that is to contact the school. Next. We also, Mr. Ortolosa also explained how you would log in here using your email and the password created so that you can get into the SIS to basically know what's going on academically with your child. Next. So here again, we have another student's attendance screen. you'll see that this student has quite a few A's. Those are the red boxes, which means that this student has been absent already 4, 5, 6 times out of class. You'll also notice there's an X. The X means that the student was absent and it's green. You'll notice green is good, red is not so good. So that X means that the student was absent from class, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the student was absent from school. That student might have been somewhere else taking a test or taking part in a different session, so that teacher put an X there, meaning the student didn't sit in their class, but that student was not marked absent. That's for the S. The X is an excused absent, when a student is absent, but the absent has been excused. So the S is a school-related absence, and the X is an excused absence. I want to give you guys a couple of final notes in terms of absenteeism. Students should not miss any more than 9 days, and that's a lot. 9 days in an academic year in order to show academic progress or growth. Yes, students get sick. Yes, sometimes things happen and they have to miss a day or two. But parents, it's up to us to hold the students accountable and make sure that they go to school, even if it's virtually. Chronic absenteeism could be a sign that the student is losing interest in school, or they're struggling with the classwork, or there might be a bullying situation. That's where we have to have those types of conversations with our students, because we can't just assume that they're logging on and doing that. It's important to know also the attendance policy at your child's school. Know the incentives for them being in class every day, and also know the penalties if that child is missing class. I just gave you a great example with high school students and how if they receive 10 or more absences, it's mandatory that they pass the midterm and the final exam in order to earn credit. It would be awful for a student to go to school for 3-4 months and then take an exam, or not go to school for 3 and 4 months when you think they are in school, and then they not receive that credit at the end of the semester. So thank you guys so much. Attendance is vital. That is like the foundation for a child's education. If you are not sure, I suggest that you reach out to your child's school counselor so that you can set something up or have them help you set up that SIS portal for attendance. Thank you. So now we're going to have Ms. Rosas, who's going to talk a little bit about some of the etiquettes and the foundations of distant learning, because we know we do have quite a few students who are learning in distant learning. We want to just go over some of the things that parents should keep in mind. Ms. Rosas.
Okay. Can everybody see me and hear me now? Hello? Yes? Okay, we're good to go. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to do a little bit of both at the same time. So thanks for your patience. So hello, everyone. I am Carmen Rosas. I'm one of the bilingual school counselors with the Multicultural Education Program. And what we do as counselors is we really work with very closely with our schools to support our students and families who are in the ESOL program. And I'm really happy to be here today with all of you. I know that you're taking time out of your busy schedules, and I know I heard a little bit earlier that it was somebody's dinner time, so we really appreciate you spending time with us tonight. We hope you're all doing well, settling into this interesting school year. We know it's been a very interesting school year so far, but I'm sure that you all have a lot of feelings about school, maybe some excitement, maybe some sadness, some worry. So whatever you're feeling, that's okay. You know, as counselors, we always say as school counselors, all feelings are okay. It's what we do with them. So today we're here to help make that remote learning experience be as successful as possible. Hopefully these tips will help you to feel less stress moving forward. And a lot of these tips will also be able to be applied to our students who are taking classes face-to-face. So let's go on to our next slide. So before the school year started, you may have enjoyed having a lot of extra time, getting to stay up late, sleep in late, using your time however you want it. But we all know that we all thrive on keeping a schedule. I know that I do best when I have a schedule. And it's important to create a schedule and try to get back into a routine so that we can be sure that we're logging on to the SIS portal, attending school every day of the school week. So here on the next page, we're going to look at a sample schedule. So this is something that you can maybe work together, you and your student, to try to set up a daily schedule. This is just an example. Obviously, you know, it depends on what time of what level your student is in, whether they're in elementary, middle, or high school. But you want to make sure that you set up some consistent habits and expectations so that you can bring about, you know, a sense of order. We know that our kids really do best when they have structure. So take time to come back and pause as at this slide, take a look at it. Maybe we can have you create your own schedule at home. Remember to make time for schoolwork, family time, alone time, outdoor time, and to take care of yourself. You can write down your schedule. I always take lots of notes, even though I have it on my calendar on my phone. But I write down every day, you know, a to-do list of what I'm going to be doing. And sometimes kids really, especially with the elementary school students, they might like to get creative and decorate their schedule with, you know, stickers and things like that. But writing it down is really the key to success because it's going to hold your students accountable. Okay, so I know I'm on the computer a lot, and your students are also on, and you yourselves, some of you may be also working from home. So, you know, computer fatigue is not easy. You know, we get our sore, dry, burning eyes, our necks and our shoulders. We get headaches sometimes. I know it may be hard to concentrate, but research shows that brain breaks improve attention span and help us to maintain focus and energy. So, you know, while we want to make sure that we have some balance in our regular day with our schedule, make sure that you are setting aside and your students are setting aside some time. So, for example, when you're using your computer during the day, make sure that it's just for school and that you're not going on there to play, that you're monitoring your students so that they're not going on there playing social media, games, things like that, because that's when you might think that they're logging on, but then they're getting all those absences perhaps, or they're tardy because they're really not working in the class. So best practice would be to make sure that during the day when it's time for school, to only use the computer for school-related activities. Okay, some of you may be able to do this, and some of you may not be able to do this, depending on the space in your house. It's important to designate a learning space that's distraction-free and that allows access to any books or taking notes. If you don't have a desk, the kitchen table is another good option. And also in a space where you could monitor your student. Even if there's a corner in the room that you like to work on the floor, just find a space that works for your student, that offers the least amount of distractions. Again, limit the phone, the social media access, unless your student may be working in a group project or in a study session with other students. But creating this dedicated school space will help you not to get burnt out your students not to get burnt out, rather. If you dedicate this space to school, then once the student is done with school, then you can leave that space with a sense of, separation, that now I can lead a balanced life and I can do other things that I like to do. Staying organized. Oh, I can't tell you how important that is when I work with students. Using an agenda, even if it's just a little notebook or a piece of paper that you have for each day of the week, so that you can stay organized. If you're not physically at school, it doesn't mean that your agenda still won't help to help you keep track of the assignments and to stay organized. So you might do it electronically, you might do it on your phone, or you might like to do it on a piece of paper, but clean up that workspace and every day at the end of the day so that you can make sure that you start fresh the next day. Okay, so let's make sure that when we are going on to Google Meet that we keep these things in mind, some of these tips. For example, we talked a little bit about this today in our meeting, to make sure that we have our microphone muted. And I know sometimes I forget if my microphone is muted or not muted, and we get distracted, but try to, keep your microphone off when you're not speaking, especially, if there's other people or students in the house, so that it doesn't, so that we don't have that unnecessary noise. If you can, use headphones, because that helps with keeping things private in the house. Dress appropriately, at least from the top, from the top up. Make sure that you have no pajamas. Dress like you're going to school. It makes you feel like you're ready to go. And log in on time, because it's just respectful to do that. Okay. So in terms of building study skills, don't let your study skills fall apart during this time. It's like playing the piano, riding a bike, anything that you do like that, you need to have practice. So study skills are like the muscles in our bodies. If we don't use them, they're going to get weak. The same thing goes for school skills. Don't let them get weak. And this time is an excellent opportunity to figure out what works best for you so that you can acquire even better skills. Read over your notes. Use study materials that the teacher provides for you. Make yourself a study guide. Sometimes a student may be more of a visual learner. Sometimes they're more of an auditory learner. So find what works for you. I know for myself, I'm a visual learner, so I need to see everything written. I have 3 children who are grown adults now, but when they were younger, I knew that each one of them had a different style to study. So pay attention to what works well for your students. Some students may not need to do this, but here's some tips that you should try. Using flashcards, having a parent or a sibling quiz, especially for those auditory learners. And we have apps like Quizzes or Kahoot to help create practice tests. It's important to stay updated. Teachers will send emails, so check your email first thing every morning for instructions from the teachers. Check all of the Google Classrooms. Look for upcoming assignments. It's a lot to keep up with, I know, but we have all of these things in place. We're very fortunate that we are in a school district that is so up to date with all of this. So take advantage of the resources that we have, and then check weekly to see if you have any missing assignments that you can make up. Now, read all directions and watch all instructional videos before emailing your teacher with a question. This is so important because your teachers, they put a lot of time and energy into creating lessons for you and providing clear instructions. So make sure that you're respecting their effort, but also showing them the same effort in return. So read through any instructions, any classroom posts, watch for any instructional videos first. And then if you still have questions, you can ask for help. If you still have questions after reading all the instructions and watching any videos that your teachers provide, then you can reach out to them and let them know that you have a question. So here's an example next of an email that you might send to your teacher or counselor. And make sure that you use proper email etiquette. Remember to check your emails, respond. Be sure that you tell them exactly what it is that you need. Try to have your students use a full sentence, because sometimes when I get an email from a student, I really want to help them, but I need to make sure that I understand everything that they're asking me. So try to have your students use as many details as possible when they're asking questions. And emails are great, because I know teachers are always checking their emails. And we have lots of resources that are available. Here's just some examples that are available to you. If you have a specific skill or subject that you could use extra help with, check your teacher's website, email them, contact your child's school counselor to see if they can provide you with additional resources. So it's also important during this time that we stay connected. I know that myself, sometimes I feel a little bit disconnected from family, and during these times we're not able to necessarily get together like we used to with our family and friends. So talk to your make sure that you're balanced and that you spend time connecting with them. We are lucky that we have social media. It can be used, for positive opportunities, like, staying connected to prevent feelings of isolation or sadness. With talking about social media, it's important that we use social media appropriately. Please remind your students that whatever you share on the internet will stay there forever, even if it's deleted. Also, to be mindful of not posting things that you wouldn't like. So if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And to remind your students, to consider how would they feel before they post something, whether it be on any of the social apps that the students use. Please monitor those. Cyber safety should always be a priority. So try to keep the lines of communication open, find opportunities to help your students, to teach them the basics of staying safe. Like we said a few times, keep an eye on what's going on. Keep all of these things in common areas. Make sure that your security software is updated. Talk with your child. Make sure that you talk about some of the guidelines and why, that it's not a punishment, that you're not trying to control them, but that you're trying to make sure that they are balanced, that they have certain times when they can be on the computer for school, and maybe certain times that they can be on it for fun, whether it be video games or social media. So make sure that you establish those rules or those guidelines. Monitor their online accounts and their online history. Discuss the potential digital dangers and digital safety. Don't assume that your child knows. We have to teach our kids, and actually they can teach us a lot too, but always be mindful that there's just so much out there, and we can't take it away completely, because it's just the reality of life, that this is what's happening now, that our kids are going to be online. So make sure that you're talking about creating a unique password, not sharing those passwords with others, communicating only with people who you know, not sharing personal information, and then of course reporting any unsafe situations to adults. If you see something, say something. And finally, here's some ideas for how to practice self-care. Make sure that you spend time to disconnect from the technology. I have to remind myself of that. Spend time doing things to take care of your mental, your physical self, and whether it be taking a walk, doing stretching, reading a book. So, these are times right now of a lot of high stress and emotion in the current environment in which we're in for a lot of different reasons. Maybe, play a board game, cook a meal together, maybe put the radio on and sing, dancing to get all of that energy out, and just maybe reflecting are some of the small ideas that you might consider. So take a look at all of these ways to take a break and practice self-care. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this presentation, and I hope that, let me stop sharing. Hold on a second. Okay.
Thank you, Carmen, for that. That was great.
Thank you.
I want parents to understand that a lot of the tips that Ms. Rosa shared with you guys in that PowerPoint was not only geared towards students that are working remotely. These are tips that students who are brick mortar, who are going to school physically, can still apply into their everyday studies. And these are things that they can apply when they come home and they have homework assignments. All those study skills and the cyber safety, these are things that we all need to be very mindful of because it affects all of us. And as parents, we want to make sure that you're well equipped when you're working with your child at home also. Our final presentation this evening will come from Ms. Maria LaCobb from the Migrant Education Department. She's coming in to give us some great information and to update us on what's going on in the migrant world. Ms. LaCobb?
Yes, I'm just waiting to see the presentation.
Up and ready.
Thank you. Do you want me to start like this? I have my copy.
Yes, the presentation is up. We can see it.
Oh, I don't see it.
Okay, let me stop sharing, Ms. LaCobbs, and then I will go back in. Maybe something happens. Thank you everybody for being patient with us.
I can start if you want me to.
Let me try it again.
Okay.
Are you able to see it now?
No.
Okay, let me try it again.
Do you want me to?
Okay, Ms. Charles, do you see it?
Yes, we can see the presentation. So if Ms. LaCobb has a paper copy and she wants to go through it and just tell us when to change, we can do it that way.
Perfect.
Okay, that will work. Thank you. Good evening, family, parents. Thank you for taking the time to be part of our Multicultural First Family Engagement Night. My name is Mrs. Maria Elena Lacobs, and I'm one of the advocates for our migrant students. I'm going to give you a general information about our migrant program. You can show the first slide.
Okay, got it.
Who is a migrant student? A migrant student is the child of a worker that moves across the school district lines and engages in qualifying agriculture or fishing work. One of the characteristics of our migrant families is that they follow the crops within United States. Their job is seasonal, so when the work finished here, they will migrate. It could be Texas, California, Ohio, anywhere within United States. Next, please.
Okay, so I'm on the slide that says
migrant students, Okay. Migrant students might have a limited education opportunities. Some of them they rather work than attend the school. And I have to make a clarification in here. Education is important for our migrant students, but it might not be the first priority at the moment. The first priority at the moment is to work and help their families with the economic struggles. Some of them lack of student records. And when our families, our migrant families are ready to leave, very seldom they will have time or take the time to go to the children's schools and request records. And the same thing happens when they are ready to come back to our state. They will leave, they will come, they will register their children in the schools, but they are not going to bring any records with them, okay? Some of them have poor health. A majority of our families do not have health insurance, so very seldom they will visit doctors. They lack of enrollment in rigorous coursework and lack of knowledge of higher education. One of the problems that our migrant students have is that they don't have a role model to follow. They might be the first person in their family to successfully graduate from high school, okay? They have poor attendance. They move in during the school year. Some of our students, they still probably in Ohio. Some of our families, they still probably in Texas. So it's very challenging for our students. Some of our students, they might be separated from their families as well. Next, please.
Got it.
Thank you. The migrant education goals are aligned with the multicultural department goals and objectives. We follow the same goals, we follow the same objectives. The difference is that the migrant program focus works and assists migrant students and families only. Multicultural department, on the other hand, works, assists language learners, students, ELL students, and their families. Well, the migrant education program works to assist all migrant students in meeting challenging and academic standards and achieving graduation from high school or a GED program with an education that will prepare them to become a responsible citizenship, further the learning, and be a productive employment. I have to say something about our migrant students. They are very resilient. This is a young group that will, once they know the educational system, they will create their own goals and their own objectives. And they will walk the extra mile to reach their goals and objectives. Because our students know that education is the key to open the doors for a better future. And also to break the lifestyle cycle. Okay? Next, please. Okay. Well, the migrant education program supports migrant students and their families. And one of the objectives is to educate our families and students about the Florida educational system, how it works. We want to, we teach them about graduation requirements, attendance, how to read a report card, how to read and understand the grade scaling, The scaling grade, have to understand what an failing grade means, what an A means. We know that if the teacher, if our parents and students understand the educational system, they will be part of the children education. They will get involved. Also provide after-school tutoring, focusing on English and mathematics subjects. Help students graduate with high school, assisting them with college applications, FAFSA, organizing a resume, etc. Provides a summer program where they reinforce what they learned during the school year so our students won't forget during the summer. Provides a pre-kindergarten program. This is a very unique kindergarten program. The hours is from 8 to 5. So it helps the parents to go to work and come back, and the children are safe and learning. They also monitor students' grade and attendance from pre-kindergarten to high school. Next, please. Our migrant program have an excellent team, and they are the social services facilitator recruiters. They are vital for a program. Their main job is to make home visits, interview the parents or guardians, and they are in charge of document family eligibility, as well as the enrollment of the children in the migrant program education program. While they are conducting these home visits, if they identify and refer to community agencies any family's issues, any needs. It could be medical, nutrition, hygiene, mental health. If the parents do not have, they have an appointment, and they need to go to court, they don't have transportation, we provide transportation for them to move from point A to point B if it's an issue. Next, please.
Yes, got it.
The next team are the advocates. The advocates make sure that every migrant student has the opportunity to participate in activities that will increase academic achievement. We encourage our students to be part of the school sports, clubs, music, art, wherever they can join. That will improve their academic achievement. We also review academic progress and attendance, and if there's any issues, we will address them. We participate in school-based meetings involving educational decisions that might affect our migrant students. And we plan and monitor extended learning opportunities. This is a great tutorial program. Our target students are students that are at risk of graduating or being promoted due to low test scores on the reading and mathematics areas. The goal of the advocates is to empower our students to become their own voice, to be their own advocate, and to believe that with positive mind, hard work, dedication, and consistency in their studies, they will succeed in the school. They will reach all their goals, and their dreams will come true. Next, please.
Yes.
We have a great team, our parent liaisons. They are the link between the migrant program and the parents and our migrant parents. They coordinate and facilitate parents' workshops through the school year. They are in charge of the Migrant Parent Advisory Council meetings. They also identify potential kindergarten students and support parents with all the registration procedures. They conduct home visits with pre-kindergarten parents and children to provide early literacy skills. They also provide the Rosetta Stone program for parents that wants to improve their English skills. And they support the schools with any parent activity that they have during the year. Okay? Next, please.
Yes.
For more information, we are located in 702 West Ocean Avenue. Our offices are next door to Lantana Elementary School. Our phone number is 561-202-0356. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. LaCobb.
No problem.
So now we've come to the question and answering period of our meeting. But before we do that, we'd like feedback from you. So I'm going to ask Ms. Rosas to share her screen because we have 3 polling questions that we would like for you to answer. And Ms. Rosas is going to direct you on how to get to those questions. So if you will, please follow the instructions that she gives you as she shares her screen to let you know how to get to the polling questions. And you're going to do it right there on your computer.
Okay, so here we are. So we have these polling questions, and let me see if I can take a look at it. So right here, we have a poll. Can you hear me okay?
You went a little too fast, Ms. Rosas. Can you back out of there so they can see what you clicked on? Back out of there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I don't see the whole screen, so
that's fine. Just move it back over to where we can see your chat box and the shape.
Yeah, I don't see everything, so I'm guessing. Okay.
I'm gonna direct you. You're doing great. Okay, so she just moved right next to your chat box. There are 3 shapes, a triangle, a square, and a circle. If you would click on that little icon for us, go ahead and click on it, Ms. Rosas. And then you'll see those 3 choices. You have the breakout rooms, the poll, and the question and answer. If you don't mind clicking on where it says polls, that will take you to 3 questions that we have for you before we get to the question and answer.
Okay, so here are the 3 questions, and I'm going to launch this in a moment so that you have an opportunity to give us your answer. The first one is, resources were provided that assisted you in learning. So did we provide resources this evening that assisted you in learning? Yes or no? The second question is, the information that I received was clearly presented. That is talking about the PowerPoint presentations. That is talking about the information that was shared with you.
That also lets us know if we moved a little too fast, do we need to slow down, things of that sort. So
yeah, this will help us to plan future events. The third question, the last question is, now I am able to better assist my children because of this workshop. So am I walking away with some information that maybe I can put into place maybe starting tomorrow? Maybe one thing that I learned that I'm gonna use this with my child. So I'm walking away better able to assist my child because of tonight's presentation. So that's the last of it. I'm going to launch each question, and then you're going to see it, and you're going to have an opportunity to respond. And this information will help us to be able to plan future events. And what you say on here is anonymous. So we don't know who is sharing yes or no. It's just giving us some information so that we can make sure that we are meeting your needs, and so that we can make sure that in the future we are taking a look at what your feedback is for us. And we really appreciate you taking the time to do that for us.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to stop presenting my screen, Ms. Charles. Is that okay?
That's fine. I'm pretty sure everyone knows is at the polling by now.
Okay, stop.
And then we'll take some questions once everyone is done with the polling. So I know that there were questions before, and I asked, thank you guys so much for holding off until we completed all of the presentations to ask your questions. I know Mr. Jean-Baptiste, you had a question during the SIS session, and I wanted to make sure that we answered that question for you.
Well, I had a question earlier, but it took too much time, so it's past my mind right now. It's gone.
Okay.
It wasn't very important. I had it back, so I need to ask. But for now, it's gone.
Mr. Jean-Baptiste, if I can remind you, I think it was during the section when we were discussing the information about making the meal applications.
The application about free and reduced lunch.
Yeah. So I don't know if that might jog your memory. If you want to think about that, and we'll come back to you if you remember.
It's past me, so it's gone.
I'm sorry. I did provide my email address. I know Ms. Charles will also, and the rest of the presenters today, we're going to provide our email addresses in the chat. So if you think about anything later, please send us an email. We're here to assist, and we really value your input, your suggestions, your questions. We're here to serve you and your students. So let us know by just sending us your question in an email.
Ariana has a question. You just have to unmute your mic. Just unmute.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am. I'm Evangeline. My daughter's Ariana. So I'll just log in. Yes, evening, everybody. I am actually just going to piggyback on the question pertaining to the free and reduced lunch to assist the high school students, graduating students, when it gets to college admission. How does that work if they have eligibility for that meal plan? And does the college admission fee get waived?
Yes. So what happens is if the student qualifies for free and reduced lunch, when they are registered to take the ACT or the SAT test, which are the college entrance tests, they are allowed 4 waivers for each test, which means they can take those exams 4 times without paying. And if you think about it, that's a great break for parents, because those tests are $60 and $70 each time you sit for those tests. So because they have that free, they qualify for free and reduced lunch, they will not pay. They'll get to take the test at least 4 times without having to pay. Not only do they get those waivers so they can sit for the test without paying, they also can apply for college. There's a form that they can print out when they go on the ACT or the SAT website. They print that form out. There's an electronic version of the form also. When they're submitting their college applications, they include that form, and it waives the college application fee for those students.
Wow, that's amazing, because there's about what? On FAFSA, you can add about 10 colleges, so they'll waive each and every college application fee.
They'll have, I think,
not everyone.
Not every 4.
So at least that's
so yeah, and so you can contact your child's school counselor, and they can give you more information about those waivers.
Thank you so much.
But you do have to apply, so make sure that you submit your application. Maybe it takes 5 minutes, so just submit your application so that.
So what do you mean application for the free and reduced lunches?
Yes.
Certainly, yeah. And doesn't that also apply for the food stamps if you have food stamps also? No?
No, that's a little bit different.
Okay.
That is more with the state.
Yes.
So this is separate.
Okay, good. Thank you so much for that. It's really helpful.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? I'm in the chat answering these questions.
Okay.
Yes, if you don't have any questions, thank you again so much for joining us. Someone said if they can go, if they don't have any questions, that's fine. But thank you guys so much for getting this information. There's a few more things that I do want to mention before we leave you guys tonight. We will be having, for those of you that have high school students, we'll be having a financial aid night on November 4th. We'll be sending information out about that, where we'll be helping parents to complete the financial aid application. We'll also have another family engagement night on November 17th. We'll be sending flyers out for that as well, where we'll cover different topics than we did tonight. So we'll always send those flyers home ahead of time so that you'll have enough time to set up, get from work, fix dinner, and be ready to join us for the information that we would like to provide to you.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you. Were there any other questions? No questions. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And I hope that you guys enjoyed the presentations that we put on. And our emails are in the chat if anyone needs to contact us.
And also the multicultural YouTube channel.
Yes, we've recorded this this presentation and we will have it uploaded to the multicultural YouTube page, so that if you need to go back and refer to the slides and get some information, it'll all be there. Okay, thank you guys so much. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night. I'll stay on a little bit in case anybody has any questions that they'd like to ask.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, someone was saying that they logged into the poll to answer the question.